And I remember thinking that day, I never want to feel like this again, and I never want to ever make anyone else feel like they're not good enough. And I can make great changes, but it can tear you down in an instant. And always be mindful of what you're posting online. Is that what you want people to see? Is that what you want future employers to see? Is that what you want your family to see? Happy International Women's Day. We as women need to stand united. We need to support each other, shine a light on each other, celebrate each other's successes, treat everybody equal, and realise that everyone is different and has different needs and desires. Is that what you want to stand for as a person and a woman? I believe if we as women can put all of these things into practice, we can all make this world a better place. So, Happy International Women's Day. Or should I say Happy International Women's Week. We've been celebrating all week. I've been speaking at events all over the country, and it's been an absolute honour to be asked to speak to anyone. But when it's a room full of women, the energy is always really, really high, and we always come away buzzing. So today's podcast is a little bit different. It's from a recording from an event that I've spoken at this week, and it was organised by Armagh, Banbridge and Craigavon Borough Council. And it was speaking to a group of young women, all from different schools in the area, all at that kind of crossroads in the school years, 5th year, lower 6th, choosing subjects, trying to decide on their futures. And, you know, when I look back at my school years, did I really know what I was choosing when I was choosing my career? Probably not. And I wish people had come into schools the way people do now. But careers definitely wasn't the way it is now, and thankfully there are people educating our young women and young men about how to choose wisely, and how when you do choose, it doesn't really matter, because life takes you in different paths anyway, and as long as you have your core values at heart, things will work out. So I hope you enjoy today's podcast, and it's been an absolute honour to speak at all the events for International Women's Day. Hi everyone, happy International Women's Day. How's everybody feeling? I know you're probably thinking, oh, I have to listen to this woman, who is she? But hopefully by the end there'll be some key takeaways for you to, take forward in your life. So I wanted to say happy International Women's Day to you, because this is a good day, a good week, because there's events going on all week. But we are women. Sometimes life's hard, and there can be so many challenges, but we have one life and we have to make it count. So I'm a great believer in embracing all opportunities and trying to learn. So I'm going to just tell you a little bit about my story. Who am I? Everyone's kind of shared a wee bit. I think that's so important, because before what you qualified as or what you work as, we're people. And it's people that matter, not qualifications and work roles. It's who you are as a person. So I'm Caroline, and I'm wife to Jared, mummy to Pierce, Dara and Tess. Founder, like Lynette said, of Digg for Success, the Digg Podcast, Digg Mama, Dig Deep for Kids, loads of digs there, and co-founder of the Northern Ireland Social Media Awards. I've been asked to speak at a lot of schools and colleges recently, and it's made me look back at my own school days, and I find it really hard to remember. I don't know, like Lynette and I went to the same school. There was no phones, so the actual capturing of memories isn't there. Like you all have, you're so lucky to be able to look back on these days like the best days of your life, because you have all the memories of your friends and all. Like I had no pictures, Lynette, of academy days to show or anything. They're probably all in a book, like a, what do you call that, yearbook or something. So I would say to you, capture all the memories, live every moment, share the good times with your friends, and you are lucky that you have those. I don't, but what I do remember is this one thing happening to me at school. And I remember getting my A levels, and I got an A and 2 Bs, and I thought I was deadly. Like, that is unreal. I have 5 brothers, Sharon is 6, so I have 5 brothers, and none of them went on after GCSE, and they didn't want to. They wanted to go out and farm and work in diggers and stuff, and that was all right. But my mummy was so proud that I'd done my A levels and I got these results. But on prize giving, we were all asked to come in, and if you were, I was all psyched because I was going to be in the paper. That's what I thought. I was going to be in the paper for getting these unreal results in my A levels. But they called people to the stage who got 3 A's or 2 A's and a B. And I got an A and 2 B's, so I didn't get to go to the stage to get my picture taken. And
it may seem immature for me to say this now, but at that time I felt like not good enough. Like I wasn't good enough to get up on the stage to get my picture taken because I didn't get what was deemed the right results. And I remember thinking that day, I never want to feel like this again, and I never want to ever make anyone else feel like they're not good enough, because we are all, doesn't matter what your grades are, what someone says on paper you have achieved. You are a person and a vibrant, beautiful woman that deserves your place. Everybody deserves their place on the stage, I believe. So I don't know how graduations work now or ceremonies, but I really hope things have moved on where everyone has worked so hard. Everyone deserves, and it might even be in the paper anymore, maybe it's pictures and social, but you know, everybody works hard and no one should kind of be made feel like that. So I remember that being kind of like a parting feeling of school, which doesn't sit well with me, and something that I've always tried to change moving forward. Yeah, and I just want to say to any of you that are doing exams or anything this year, like that's definitely not the way you should feel. So just to tell you a little bit, after school, I graduated as an occupational therapist in 2005. So different paths, everybody's talked today about different paths, and like occupational therapy, I chose that out of a prospectus the period before I was supposed to go to choosing your results, when I should have been researching and finding out. And like, yous are also lucky because it's careers advice seems to have moved on so much, where people come into schools and talk to you about different professions. I honestly, that did not happen. And I chose OT because I just flicked through the book and I knew I didn't want to do accounts, or I knew it was more about the caring side. And that's how flippantly I chose my future career. And thank goodness, actually, when I went to Jordanstown, I loved it. It was holistic. I do a lot of the things now that I did learn then, but the wards of the hospital were never made for me. I can say that now. I worked in Craigavon Hospital for a few years, and my boss always used to say to me, "You can't do that, Caroline, now you can't be doing that." So if anybody knows some of the things that I do, I'm a bit not wise sometimes, and creative maybe is the right way to say it, and I like to think outside the box and do things differently and draw attention to issues. And in the hospital, in the confined space of the wards, that was definitely not made for me. So when I told my boss I was leaving, he said, "Oh, you're going to open a bagel bar." And I was like, no, I'm not. And he says, "You're always talking about that during lunchtime." So that kind of drive for business was always there. And while I was studying to be an OT, I worked in retail, got the bug for business, and said, "You know what, I'm going to open a shop." So the opportunity came up to open a shop in Dungannon, and I honestly knew from the minute that I heard that it was there that I wanted to do it. And I always tell the story that my mummy cried because I was leaving a good job, and because I had like a hat on the hall, and I was the one that graduated. And it was just that kind of old school thoughts of that's when you do well, is when you actually have graduated. But it's not. It's about being happy, and it's whatever you're happy in. So I just wasn't fulfilled in OT, and I opened my shop. But I suppose my lesson to you all is never feel stuck in one path, and that's what everybody has said here today. You're not. The world is your oyster. You can do whatever you want. Be prepared for change and never be afraid to follow your dreams is really what I would say to you all here today. And maybe some of you are sitting here today and you are happy with the paths you've chosen and the subjects you've chosen, but there might be some of you sit with a little voice saying, "I just don't know what I want to do, and I don't know if I've chosen the right thing." It doesn't matter. Life changes, path changes, your path changes, and it's going to be okay, because it's as long as you're happy. Nothing's set in stone, and you make the rules. No one else does. You do. So anyway, mummy's crying. She's devastated. My dad said, "If you want to do it, I'll help you," because I had no money. So he drives a digger, and I said, "Right, I'm going to call it Digg." And that's where the name comes from, and kind of the brand has grown to be a lot more today. So I called it Digg, and it's kind of like a nod to him to say thanks for the money, because I only have student loans, no of debt, I have no money. So I couldn't have done it without his support. And yeah, when I look now, I'm like, I learned so much in retail, and I couldn't have learned the things I learned in retail at university. I couldn't have learned these things, is really what I'm trying to say. I learned how to be tough, how to make sure my voice was heard. And as a 24-year-old in business, that wasn't always easy, and especially a woman in business. But over the years, I realised that my opinion and my input was as valuable as anybody else's. And it took time and a lot of tears, a lot of confidence being knocked but that's how you learn, and that's how you actually grow in confidence when those things happened. But I stood in my shop more times and cried when things went wrong or when people were rude to me. Sometimes when you work out in the public domain, especially in retail, if anybody's working in retail, there can be very highly pitched moments when people think they should get more discount or, silly things that people mightn't understand. But you really are at the forefront of anything in a shop. Like, people can really say anything to you. But I want to say to you today that made me more resilient. And resilience is a word that you might hear often, but what does it mean? It means that if you're knocked down, that you get back up and you hit the road running and you learn not to make that mistake again. That's what it means to me. And as you move through these school years, you may enter part-time work, and there may be times your confidence is low and you don't feel good enough. But we've all felt like that. Every single person that came up here to speak today has felt like that. This is just part of life and becoming a better person. And always remember, you are amazing, and you can pick yourself up, and you will be able to achieve whatever you want. So retail taught me a lot, and that day that woman made me cry for not giving her enough discount. It changed me greatly. That really did happen many times. It made me stronger, and it taught me to treat other people with respect always. Never make anyone cry. And I'm glad she did that day. But I promised myself I would never do that to anyone again, and always treat everyone equal. So I learned how to adapt and change, and I had to change my business many times. And as you leave here today on International Women's Day, I want you to know that your learning is only just beginning. What you've learned so far at school, it's only a drop in the ocean for what's to come. But that's what's so exciting. So much to learn. So to tell you about Digg, I had 6 members of staff, great online store, and the future for Digg Children's Wear was bright. And I started to teach other business owners how to do the things that I was doing on social media, and that's how Digg for Success happened. I began to run workshops in my shop in the evening and mentor other businesses in my wee office. And this all came as my desire to make a difference and share my knowledge. And I want to say to you today, always share what you know and help other people, and never hold it back, because it'll come back to you in bucket loads, I believe. And yeah, I met a lady that it was actually a few months ago, and she said to me, how do you get that cool music on Instagram Reels? And I showed her how to change her account to be a creator, and then she would get that music. You might know if you probably are all on creator accounts already. But she said, nobody had ever tell me that. I've asked so many people. And I said, and she said, that's going to make my life so much easier, and I'm going to be able to do so much more. So one small thing can make such a big change in someone else's life. So always share what you know. In 2020, our lives changed forever. And I'm sure every single one of you have a story to tell. People lost their lives. And that's what was the biggest kind of impact. But there was other things going on in everybody's lives that was having huge impacts on them. And mine was my shop. I had to change. I had to close. And it was everything. I had it for 12 years. It was my life, my baby. And there was loads of reasons why, financial reasons that I had to close, because it was all occasion wear and there were no occasions. And that's another story for another day. But I quickly realised my life wasn't over. I had my family and my passion for life and business, and I was going to be okay. And I cried a lot, and I had to have mentors around me and support and family. But I suppose what I want you to remember is you will hit challenges. Hopefully we never hit another pandemic. But at the end of the day, family is what's most important. It's not your job and what people deem your profession is. It's your family. I had to quickly pivot and change, and you'll have to do this too in your working life. Nothing stays the same. And if it does, then you're not moving. If it stays the same, you're standing still. So I urge you to embrace change and don't see it as failure. It took me a long time to realise I wasn't a failure after I closed my shop. I had to do a lot of work on my own inner thoughts, like imposter syndrome and I shouldn't be here, I lost my business, why would anybody want to listen to me? All those thoughts go through everyone's minds, but it's all part of your journey. So I knew my passion was helping businesses, and I launched Digg Mama in September 2020, and I focused all my efforts on spending time with my family and helping businesses grow. Digg for Success grew from strength to strength as more and more businesses needed help online to pivot and change and embrace the online world. The Northern Ireland Social Media Awards returned last year with a bang, and we're getting ready to celebrate the amazing things that social media can do, which is definitely one of my passions. I also launched the Digg Podcast, and I'm actually recording for it over here. So you see I have my tripod set up on my phone. So this will go out tomorrow as a podcast for International Women's Day, along with all of you amazing women in front of me. And the Digg Podcast is about educating businesses. It's a free tool for businesses and individuals and entrepreneurs to learn how to navigate the challenges of life. I'm almost finished, Lynette, but I wanted to mention Dig Deep for Kids as well, which you all, your parents, your family, the community, have all helped make happen. This is a campaign which is set up. It's set up by me, but it raises money for charities in need. And to date, we've raised over £600,000, and using people of influence, so we do influencer marketing, we've been able to buy almost £1 million worth of essentials for families right here in Armagh, Banbridge and Craigavon, throughout all the districts. And we all did that. I set it up, but your families, your schools have all donated and helped families in need. So it's about making a difference. Why are we doing all this if we can't help other people? So I've been very busy since my school days, and as you've heard, I've tried to never lose my core values of hard work, integrity and respect. That's all I think matters for other people. And on International Women's Day, I suppose, I don't know if you've ever thought about what you want to stand for and what difference do you want to make? What do you want people to say about you when you're not in the room? That's what always guides me in everything that I do in life. It's what's most important. And I always say, like I said at the start, yes, work in life is important, making money is important. But at the end of the day, it's the impact that we make as a person that's really important. And another key piece of advice, and this is the last kind of thing, is I want you to leave here today and say that there's so much that we all don't know, and don't be ashamed of that. Someone else said that as well. Always hold your hand up high and say, I actually don't know how to do that. I don't know what that means. Could you show me? Because no one knows to the know. No one knows how to do anything that someone shows them or they learn. So I think that's a great skill, to be able to say, I don't know. And asking for help is a sign of strength. It's definitely not weakness. I also wrote a wee bit in here about your personal profile online, because I know you're also active on social. And I would just say, like, the digital world is amazing and it can make great changes, but it can tear you down in an instant. And always be mindful of what you're posting online. Is that what you want people to see? Is that what you want future employers to see? Is that what you want your family to see? And is that what you want people to think of you? And is that what you want to stand for as a person and a woman? And these are my final words. Now, always hold each other up. We as women need to stand united, and we need to support each other, shine a light on each other, celebrate each other's successes, treat everybody equal, and realise that everyone is different and has different needs and desires. And I believe if we as women can put all of these things into practice, the rest of society will stand up and they will take notice, and we can all make this world a better place. So I put up people that have helped me, the women, my family, my wee girl, my colleagues, my friends, and I've no sisters either. So these are my sisters. And just like you all sitting here today, you're all there to help each other. And then I've written here, these are my handles if anybody wants to send me a message or ask me about anything at all. And that's how you get in touch with me. There's a lot of social media there, and you'll be hearing the podcast tomorrow as well, on the Digg Podcast. And I just want to thank Armagh, Banbridge and Craigavon for asking me to speak today. Thank you so much.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Digg Podcast. It's an absolute privilege to be your host every week and to spend time with the most driven, inspirational people. Don't forget to tag us on social at Digg for Success if you enjoyed this week's conversation. And until next week, keep taking those steps to making it happen in your business and in your life.